Field. Oh boy.
In Pontiac, Illinois. This is one of the vehicles that Bob Wallmeyer owned, and he has another vehicle outside. It's a bus. You'll see that later. Wallmeyer is very taken with Route 66, and he has done a lot with Route 66. I was able to meet his brother, which is Buzz Wallmeyer, and he has a Cozy Dog stand down the road a little bit, and I was able to visit the Cozy Dog and have a couple of corn dogs. Very good corn dogs with Cozy Dog in Illinois.
While we're waiting for her, I'll get a better picture of this bus.
Go ahead.
Well, this bus looks like it's too big for my needs.
It really had all the comforts of home. He had a restroom, sauna, shower, kitchen.
Looks like an observation deck up there.
Yeah, he could get up on that deck, but he also had his holding tanks up there. He could pump water up there, and then when he parked this in Arizona, the sunlight guy from the 60s and 70s who traveled along US Route 66 painting the scenes and events that he saw there. He sold that artwork as a means to finance his lifestyle. And as you can see by the old school bus back there in the parking lot, that was his home when he lived in Arizona. He had a pretty simple lifestyle. He was scheduled to come to Pontiac in 2009 to paint the mural that you see there. That is his unique design with the orange globes indicating cities along Route 66. However, in 2009, Bob Wallmeyer became ill with cancer and passed away. In 2011, his family and friends arrived in Pontiac with that mural design in hand to paint it as a memorial to him. They added the panel with his likeness on it, and that made the mural exactly 66 feet long. And that number corresponded with his first love, US Route 66. There were about 120 family and friends who came to paint that mural, and they completed it in 2 days working in shifts. And once they were finished, they all signed it by placing their handprints in the blue and green and rose-colored fields that you see there. So that is a signed piece of artwork by approximately 120 artists. All around the downtown area of Pontiac.
The tour guide was talking about is in Pontiac, there are a lot of murals painted on buildings around Pontiac. And we went around, or he drove us around and showed us all these murals that people have drawn. At a few of the street corners, there are these little toy vehicles that the school kids were allowed to paint any way they wanted to, and they display them on the corners of the streets. You'll see more later on of those little toy cars. Just had to get into the picture. Personal tour guide of the 2 days that I was there is Liam. I don't want to go on without mentioning his name.
This is World War II
He was
through
great.
newspaper headlines. Here we go. Headlines of World War II. And I don't think I'm going to take all the time to read them all, but you get the picture. '40s, what children did.
Also,
People people that also...
own the Titanic.
Oh. This is the... I already forgot the name.
Stage door canteen.
Stage door canteen. Okay. And it entertain the troops?
World War II.
Sometimes I wonder if my grandkids know what this little black device is with all these little white buttons on it. You can name whatever that device is.
Gemini Man, and I couldn't get into that restaurant and see it because it had closed down. I think it's because they couldn't get enough people to man the store. So I missed out on that one. And there's the museum we saw earlier today, and which is here's another copy of it. A picture of it. Oops. Reflection. There we go. That'd be good. Here's the war museum, war room. This looks like important, guys. Here is the library, I think. Heard. And it's going to be closing here pretty soon, so I wanted to get in here and take a look at what's in here. Ah, books. That's what you find in libraries, is books. You need to do some research back in the day of what kind of books were around. A nice old coat.
Religious medals. Yeah, there was a St. Chris.
Okay, there's a story behind this gentleman here and this dog tag that has a bullet hole in it.
Okay.
Oh, that helps. So
Right.
go ahead.
Okay.
It's Ralph, huh?
Yes.
Thank you.
This man, Bill Voorhees, he was in the Marines, and he got off the Higgins boat, and as soon as he got off, he was racked with the machine guns. And one of the machine gun bullets, which was this size here, this isn't actually one of them, but it was this size here, it went through his dog tag and the St. Christopher medal. The St. Christopher medal was given to him by the daughter of the Australian family that he stayed with while his unit was preparing to deploy for combat. And she gave him the St. Christopher, and it was behind the dog tag. And when the bullet went through the dog tag, it hit the St. Christopher medal and stopped. That's what actually saved him.
Wow.
And
Okay.
and
Mercy.
the St. Christopher is still with the family. They still have it. It still has the damage, but they're keeping it in the family. And while he was on the beach being treated for his wounds from that machine gun, he was hit again with sniper fire.
Ooh.
So he was wounded
Okay. 4 times wounded.
4 times.
And he's still around, or he was?
No, he died in 2009. He was
Okay.
killed by a drunk driver.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But he survived the war, is what I was
Right.
trying to say. Yeah.
Yes, and this is his wife. She was the nurse that treated him when he was
Okay.
in the hospital for almost 2 years.
Ooh.
The doctors wanted to amputate his arm. Here he is in the hospital, but he said, no, we can't do that because I'm a farmer. I need both hands. So they did whatever they could to try to save it. So he spent almost 2 years in the hospital, mostly in a position like that, so that they could save his arm. And then he later married his nurse, and here he is a few years before he died. He retired and moved on to Kentucky, and he came up for a visit because he was friends with some of the guys up here.
Okay. Thanks.
And he used light machine gun. Normally there would be a magazine that's fed from the top, and so the sights are just off to the left of the gun a little bit. So you have to be a right-handed shooter. So if you're left-handed, you got to adjust.
Okay.
But we don't have that, and it also should have a big muzzle flash like an ice cream cone on the front. But those were never recovered. And when this man here, John Sullivan, landed on the island, his squad was being pinned down by fire from this machine gun. Well, it took him almost all morning and most of the afternoon shooting back at it before he finally was able to kill the gunner. He did some damage here. You can see on the bipod leg there's a hole,
Oh, yeah.
and also there's some damage on the handle.
There's the damage of where's my finger here? Here we go. There it is. Yep.
Well, after they silenced the gun, they had to continue forward and they bypassed it, but he made a mental note of where it was. So after their initial skirmishes were done and they were able to settle down, him and a couple buddies went back to the position, retrieved the gun because nobody else picked it up, and they made an agreement that they would take it apart and each one of them would send, because you could send back as much shrapnel as you wanted to. There's no limit to that.
Bye-bye.
And so they agreed to do that, because with a machine gun, they would have had to go probably all the way up to the chain of command, all the way up to
get that
several
through.
generals to get permission, which probably would have been denied. But they sent it back when they got a chance. And when they got back from the war, they got together and they put it together, and he had it in his den for several years, showing it off to friends and everything. And in the early 80s, one of his neighbors, apparently, I don't know if he was jealous or was afraid of it or what, he called the sheriff's office and the ATF. The deputy sheriff, he's not in this picture here, but the deputy sheriff, who's now the sheriff of LaSalle County, Tom Templeton, or I think that's his name, but he came with an ATF agent. They were going to confiscate the gun. The sheriff just wanted to lock it up, keep it safe, but the ATF agent said, no, we've got to destroy it because it's a dangerous weapon. And after some negotiating, he was able to convince the ATF agent that they can locked up in his evidence locker. That way they can keep the history alive with it, and John can come and visit whenever he wanted to. Well, after John died in the 90s, it just sat around that evidence locker collecting dust. And a few years ago, about 8-9 years ago, he called us, and he was now sheriff at this point. He called us and said, well, I've got a machine gun, Japanese machine gun captured at Iwo Jima. Would you like to have it and display it? And I couldn't say yes fast enough.
Yeah.
So he brought it down and brought the daughter of this man here, and they came and he presented it to us, but he gave it to us on a couple of conditions. First, it's on loan. It's not donated.
Oh.
Second, it has to be locked up. And what you see here, it's
See,
double
locked.
locked.
Yep.
And his office is the only people to have the key for it.
Oh.
So if we ever need to get it out and oil it, we have to call him. They have to come down and unlock it, so we can take it out and do whatever we need to. But
Go field.